Thor's Fusion event is live, and it's not that different. Plarium said it was going to be different, but it looks like a fairly standard hybrid Fusion event to me. So for those of you who are interested in going for Thor, like I am, in today's video, we will go over his calendar and create our no-fail Fusion plan. You know I love to do these. It's a great way to look ahead at the next 2 weeks and make sure that you have enough resources and time to make sure that you get your Fusion champ, because there's nothing that feels worse in Raid, I think, than going 80% of the way through a Fusion event and then realizing you're going to come up short. So we're also going to talk about the Epic a little bit for those of you interested in a consolation prize. There's a lot to cover. I hope you stick around for it. I am Colred. This is Colred Plays. Let's get started. Just a quick reminder, this is the month of September, where we are doing our 10K sub push. We're hoping to reach 10,000 subscribers by the end of this month. So if you could help us out, please smash that like button. Please subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, and consider joining our Discord community. That's it. That's all. Pretty easy. Thanks for your support. Now let's get back to the video. 6 hours later than the intro to this video. Sometimes life happens. So I'm sorry this video is going to come out a little bit later than I anticipated. But let's go ahead and take a look at Thor's event calendar. Okay, so here we are. It's the Fusion event calendar. And as you can see, there are 450 fragments available. We need 400, right? Each Diana Gloom Piercer epic needs 100 fragments. So we've got 450. And you'll notice right away the extra 50 come in this summon rush at the very end. Now, it's a little bit weird to say it's the extra 50, right? Because really it's just 50. They could happen anywhere. So the extras could be the first 2 events. Like these could be the extra 50. It entirely depends on what your plan is. But, they call it the extra 50. And it is going to be a summon rush, just like we saw with, I believe it was the Incarnates event a few months ago. Now, that summon rush was here in the middle. It was like day 6 or something. And instead, now we've got it all the way at the end, which is really unfriendly. We do have a Champion Chase tournament to start. So the other summon rush is here on Friday, the September the 13th. And so you've got basically back-to-back summon rushes here. We're going to build our fusion plan, our no-fail fusion plan, as if we don't need these summon rush points. But one thing to consider, maybe, is the fact that based on the last time they did this extra summon rush, you got 9 sacreds to get all 50 fragments. Whereas with this summon rush, it takes 6 sacreds to get 25 fragments. So if they do the same point distribution that they did last time, and there's no guarantee they will, but if they do, potentially this event is the more efficient event. So if you want to take a risk and skip this summon rush and maybe one other event at the end, you could potentially skip this Dungeon Divers or this Champions Training Tournament and go for that 50 at the end. It might be a more efficient use of shards. Basically, that's a gamble. That's a gamble, and I can't advise you to do it. I think that what you should do probably is just plan on as if that summon rush didn't exist, unless we get more information as we get closer. As we get closer, if we find out, oh, there's an extra event during that, maybe there's an event for one of the Asgard champions, then maybe that becomes the summon rush that you want to do. But for right now, we're going to plan as if it does not exist. We're just going to erase all of that, and we're basically going to say, no summon rush here for us. You want to plan on the guarantee. And I know that that might be more efficient to do it that way, but we can't trust Plarium. I mean, why are they doing it at the end like this? Why not do it in the middle like they did before? There's some reason, and the reason is it's going to make them more money. That's basically the reason. So let's go ahead and get into the rest of the events. Now, remember, we need 4 copies of Diana Gloom Piercer, which means we need all 16 events and tournaments. Now, today is Thursday the 5th, although it's probably pretty late when this comes out, so you might not be seeing it till Friday. But Friday is good because that's where we want to start anyway. Basically, we want to make sure that we take our 2K energy from this spider tournament. We're going to fold that into the dungeon divers right here. And then we're going to take our dragon tournament and we're going to put that into the dungeon divers event 1 as well. So that's the 2K right here. Now, quick note about these spider tournaments, all the dungeon tournaments. There will be 2 times drop rates for specific sets. I believe for the spiders, it's barbarian accessories, and then dragon, I do think it's speed. Fire Knight is regeneration, I believe, and Ice Golem is, maybe I've got it wrong, maybe, I don't know. You can check it, it's in the news. So if those double drop rates are exciting to you, then you can continue to put extra points in here. Because remember, this Dungeon Divers typically takes about 5,000 energy. So if you put in the 2,000 from the Spider Tournament and the 2,000 from the Dragon Tournament, that means it's only going to take 1K. Let's erase that. It's only going to take 1K energy. Somewhere. You have to put it somewhere. Now, you could put it into the Dragon Tournament and get more speed gear, hopefully. Or you could put it into the event dungeon. And that's something that you're going to have a choice to do over the course of the entire Fusion event, is decide where do you want to put points into the event dungeon for the Dungeon Divers event and tournament. Now, if you want, you could go ahead and put the 1K energy here, because we do have this Dungeon Divers event too that is happening right here. And you see the only overlap is with Fire Knight. So what I'm actually going to recommend is do this with the event dungeon. Do the whole thing with the event dungeon. And that's going to give you an opportunity to put 5K right into that event dungeon. Or if you don't want to do that, you could just keep going after Dragon or go after Fire Knight. That is your choice. I'm going to do the event dungeon here because I'm going to pour Fire Knight into the Dungeon Divers right here. So from here, I'm going to put my 2K. And then same thing with Ice Golem from here to here, right? So from here to here, this is going to be the Ice Golem 2K right there. And so then I have to figure out 1,000 extra energy. I'll probably put it into Fire Knight. So I'll probably put an extra 1,000 into Fire Knight. And again, this is what we typically see. We want to double dip. We want to triple dip if we can. You know, and we always know we're going to need a little bit more energy for those Dungeon Divers events. So be ready for that. One thing I will say is if you can farm stage 20s of these tournaments, all the dungeon tournaments, with food, then remember that you can actually get that extra dip here. Because look, Spider Tournament and Dragon Tournament double up with the training event here. And then this Champion Training Tournament here is Ice Golem and Fire Knight. So you can get a lot of value out of having a solo or duo or even a trio. For Fire Knight, sometimes you need, 3 champions or maybe even 4 champions. But if you can run just one food champion in that last spot, that can be valuable in getting points for the Champion Training Tournament. Now, as far as the rest of the events go, we do have the Champion Chase Tournament that is happening this weekend, and it is a 2 times Sacred Shard event. Now, in addition to that, there will be a 10 times event for Freya. But we don't want to go past our number. Whatever our number is for the Champion Chase Tournament, we want to just hit it and hold. Okay? Because we're probably going to be using Sacreds again for this Summon Rush down here. And again, this takes 6 Sacreds. So usually for the Champion Chase Tournament, you want to go ahead and factor in any other champions that you can get. So here's the thing. If you can complete the Spider Tournament, the Artifact Enhancement, Champion Training, the Dungeon Divers, the Classic Arena, and the Fire Knight Tournament, all before the Champion Chase Tournament ends, you can actually get only one copy of Diana Gloompiercer into that Champion Chase Tournament. You could also get 25 from, let's see, would it be enough? It still wouldn't be enough. No, it would if you got the Artifact Enhancement. No, you can't. That doesn't matter. So you can only get one copy. Only one copy of Diana Gloompiercer in that Champion Chase Tournament. which is really less friendly. If we had the Champion Chase tournament in the second half, we could have done 3 or maybe 4 copies of her in that Champion Chase tournament. So be aware of that. You're only going to be able to get 1 Diana Gloom Piercer into that Champion Chase tournament. That being said, you should do that. You should definitely do that. And then in addition, think about any other fragment champions you have maybe from Doom Tower or past fusions to just save yourself some sacreds there. Based on the points that we've seen in the past, usually this is going to also be somewhere around 6 sacreds. So this fusion could be a 12 sacred fusion. Now, I think the reason that they did this is because there is supposed to be a guaranteed event for Freya that's going to be based on a deck of fate. And that typically takes 20 sacreds. So I think this is specifically designed to suck sacreds out of our pools, you know, out of our stashes. One thing you could think about doing here for this summon rush down here is if you wanted to hold on to 20 sacreds or try to hold on to as many sacreds as possible for the deck of fate, you could try using ancient shards here. Okay, so that's something to consider. Typically, when it's reversed and we have summon rush first and champion chase tournament second, I do the champion chase tournament with ancient shards. That's what I usually do. Depends on where you are, how many shards you have. But remember, you can always buy big shard packs in the gem shop. For 900 gems, you get 11 ancients. And so if you have a decent number of gems, that might allow you to hold on to some sacreds. You could even do it here if you wanted. You could even use some ancients here. But remember, it's going to probably be somewhere on the end of this, right after this. We're going to have at least one event for souls. Might be Thor soul, might be, the other might be Odin soul, who knows. And then we're going to have the guaranteed Freya event. So try to hold on to those sacreds if you can. I have to figure it out. I have a big a big pool of sacred shards, the biggest pool of sacred shards I've ever held on to. But I still don't think I'm going to have enough to do the Champion Chase tournament and the Summon Rush with sacreds and still have the 20 for the guaranteed Freya. Especially if they do something, Clarium-like and make it 22 sacreds or something like that. So just be aware. Okay, so as for the rest of it, I think everything is pretty standard. The classic arena takedowns are nice and easy. The champion training tournaments, again, if you can use solo champions and farm food in the dungeon tournaments, that's great. But if not, remember your brews and your tavern leveling. Everybody's got a different pattern that they like, but I usually do most of my champion training in the tavern. We have another artifact enhancement. We have 3 of them. Remember, each one is about 20 million in silver, so 60 million total. You do not need all of this energy and all of the silver at the beginning of the event. Remember, you're going to have about 14 days or so to go ahead and get all those resources. So I usually say if you have like 20 million now or so, that's probably pretty good. Or if you have a lot of materials for the forge, and you can get a lot of silver that way. Maybe you need a good gear cleanse, get some silver that way. Remember, there is silver in the clan shop sometimes, so there are ways to get silver if you need it. And, if you know you're going to be short on silver, maybe you want to spend more time in the event dungeon or in the spider tournament. Remember that the event dungeon gives you a lot of accessories. So I actually think it's probably one of the best sources of silver we have at the moment. I'd like to see how it compares to the spider dungeon. Let me know if you have any numbers on that in the comments below. I'd love to hear what you think. Do you think the event dungeon is the best place to farm silver right now? Might be. Okay, so I think that is it. I am going to probably try to do at least one of these shard events with some ancient shards and some fragment champions and stuff like that. So this champion chase tournament, hopefully I can get away without using too many sacreds. I'm planning on using the 6 sacreds here and skipping this summon rush, even though I suspect that that's probably going to be the most efficient event. All right, there it is. That is the no-fail fusion plan. Let me know in the comments below if you are going for Thor or if you're going to take a pass. I'm definitely going for him. I think he's going to be really good for wave clear, and I think that is something that we need, right? We don't have really, really good damage-dealing wave clear champions. There are just a few in the game. But this guy's going to be good in Hydra, good in Arena, good in Doom Tower, and good in Dungeons up to the boss. I think that's enough. All right, thanks so much for hanging out. I have been Colred, and I will see you in another video soon.